Chapter 8. It's a lovely evening, so I'm cranking a few out here. Agent 13 online. It was late afternoon and Peter was on his tea break. An unknown text message came in from what seemed to be Thompson's assistant. Your agent is ready. Please schedule a visit to the station at this number. Peter called the number and a Frenchman answered. Hello, this is Francois. Hey, Francois, Colonel told me to call you and schedule a visit. Yes, are you free this evening? Yes, sir, I am. See you then. Peter was excited to see how his agent turned out. He arrived at the station and went downstairs. Hi, Francois, said Peter. Good evening, Mr. Casey. Have a seat. Francois typed on his computer. Agent 13 is now online. When the agent came online, Peter could see the familiar screen coming from his own visual cortex. Where's the agent now? The same location you last saw him, but he is now ready for his new life. We will test him and deploy him for duty in Paris. The screen showed the same room that Peter had been in Paris. Similar to the last time, Peter moved the agent around the room, picked up objects, placed them down, and did a series of movements as directed by Francois. This time it was different because he could see what looked identical to a human hand. We have performed enough tests with you and the agent, you and the video simulator, and this agent has been tested with other technicians over the last few weeks. So, Mr. Casey, our goal tonight is to bring him into the center of Paris, where he will patrol there until there is evidence to notify you of a potential attack. Peter walked the agent up the stairs of the house and found a toilet. He looked in the mirror. Peter was shocked at the reflection looking back at him. He looks the image of Brendan Gleeson's son. You know, your man who shot himself in the head in Love Hate, you know? That fella. Was that on purpose? The technician ignored his comment. I was expecting someone French-looking, I suppose, said Peter, trying to pull Francois into the conversation without success. There is a revolver inside your shirt. You may take it out and examine it, said Francois. Peter did so. The agent is fully aware of how to operate this weapon and could walk you through it if you're interested. Sure. This is a specialized weapon, said the agent. It has a standard safety button on it. It carries two separate chambers of bullets, one standard where you would aim and shoot. This is the default chamber. There is in a second chamber with smart bullets. My ring finger activates a laser and gives me the ability to tag the suspect. Once tagged, the second chamber is activated with a bullet that follows the tag. The bullet is less powerful as it needs to be able to move with the target, so it is important to tag the suspect in a lethal part of their body, namely the head. Fascinating stuff, said Peter. Peter then walked the agent out to the driveway where the car was parked. Peter opened the car door, fully feeling the metal handle under his fingertips. He got in and started the car. Well, I can see you are concentrating quite intensely, Mr. Casey, said Francois. I'm not bothering with a French accent, sorry. You must remember that this organism, if you will, is quite intelligent and could drive this vehicle on his own, if need be. You merely have to order him to patrol a certain area of the city, say the Louvre or Notre Dame, and he will follow instructions. Finding and paying for parking will be taken care of by him also. All agents are equipped with cash, credit cards, driver's license, and passports, all with fake identification, of course. The agent can remain in patrol mode and will notify you if there is a suspect. Good information, replied Peter Francois, but I've not driven a car in a while and wouldn't mind an evening drive. Peter reclined in his chair at the station and closed his eyes, while the scene from over 1,000 kilometers away opened wide into the French countryside. Peter pulled down the windows and could feel the breeze across his neck. He stuck his head out the window and could feel the wind blow through his hair. It was a feeling Peter had not had in many years since his hair had receded. Glad you gave this guy a full head of hair, he said out loud. Peter tried to watch his speed, although it was tempting to go faster. The last thing he needed was a conversation with a police French officer through a cyborg he was only now learning to operate. He had not possessed a car since Michelle, so it was nice to feel the movement of gears. He let go of the steering wheel, but the agent held it tight. What is our destination, Mr. Casey? The agent asked. Patrol Notre Dame, said Peter. Yes, sir, replied the agent. By the way, agent, can you switch accents? Of course, said Francois. The agents must be able to move between countries and blend in. Do a Dublin accent, commanded Peter. Very well, sir. What would you like me to say? Well, you said enough already. You'd make a great RTE radio personality. I mean a real Dublin accent. Please define, responded the agent. Like me, like you, we sound like in Ringsend, said Peter. The term Central Dublin accent appeared on screen, followed by confirmed. Ready, said the agent. Tell me what you want me to say. Now that sounds better already. Repeat after me. Do you want your go? Do you want your go? Said the agent. You can just think these things. You don't have to say them out loud, said Francois, a tinge of annoyance in his voice. Does your man stitch? Said the agent. Stitch that, he said from behind the steering wheel. He made a headbutt movement towards his reflection in the mirror. The car pulled into Notre Dame area and the agent found street parking. He exited the car and paid for the parking spot on the street meter. The agent then proceeded to walk towards the cathedral. As he did so, every person who walked past him had their faces scanned. A face match would be made, followed by a series of data on the person. Agent 13 finally came to a location across the river from the cathedral. Beautiful, said Peter. He looked around and wondered if the agent was also grinning at the sights and sound of Paris in the evening. He walked along the Seine and into a cafe. As he entered the cafe, all the people present had their faces scanned in a split second. This was something Peter would have to get used to. We'll sit outside. It's a lovely evening, said Peter. Here comes the cat. They'll be meowing. I'm trying to read a book over here. Francois interjected. Again, you don't have to speak the commands out loud. You just need you just do what you want. It is good practice. Sure, but I'd like to speak me thoughts out loud much of the time anyway. The waiter approached the agent and asked for his order in French. Espresso, said the agent, using Peter's direct answer. The waiter looked strangely at the agent and went inside. It's espresso, said Francois. Jeez, you're a lot of very picky, said Peter. Note, Mr. Casey, the agent has no stomach or digestive system. When his coffee arrives, he will pretend to swallow. That's what she said, responded the agent. Francois was not amused and looked sideways at Peter, who was laughing hysterically. Wow, that's quite the mind he has there, Francois, said Peter. We both know he was not the origin of that comment, Mr. Casey. Please do not use him as your personal toy. Jeez, lighten up, Francois. I'm only... That's a play on a movie, by the way. I'm only messing with you. Oh, no, sorry. Jeez, lighten up, Francis, he says. I'm only messing with you. It's Francois. No, it's a film reference. I ruined it, didn't I? I think that'll be enough for time, Mr. Casey. When can you return? I'm open tomorrow evening. Very well. I only ask that in the meantime you do not mess around with the agent. He will contact... Okay, I'll feed you later. I'm trying to read. Go. You can probably hear that meow. He will contact you if there is anything to report. God forbid you can monitor him. God forbid. You can monitor him, but please leave it at that. He is in passive mode and will patrol through the night. Peter left the building. It was still relatively early in the evening and he decided to take a walk to Sandymount Strand. It was another warm August evening. The summers seemed to be continually hotter as the years went by, he thought to himself as he walked on the tarmac path that paralleled the main Strand Road. He walked south and could see the houses in Blackrock and Booterstown. He found a bench facing the water and sat down. It was the same bench he and Michelle once sat on when they were younger. What do you want to do in life? Asked the 16-year-old Michelle. I want to travel. I'd love to go to America and live there for a while. What would you do? I'd be a cop. Come on. Why not? I can't see you shooting at someone, said Michelle. Oh, you don't? You're too soft. I fucking haven't. She placed a young, soft hand on his chest. She's between the meows and the barks. It's me. It's me. I like you, Peter Casey. You're different. Like Dr. Doolittle's lab here. I like... Maggie! Daddy! Hello. Peter came back to the present. Sorry, I like you, Peter Casey. You're different. Peter came back to the present, but the present was too painful. Unable to bring back the past in that moment, he went to Paris instead. Agent 13. As soon as he mouthed the words, the agent's view appeared as a small screen in front of Peter. The agent had left the cafe and was en route to the Eiffel Tower via Rue de Babylone. Peter closed his eyes to see the agent's full view. He opened his eyes again and saw Dublin Bay. Closing his eyes again, he could see the Eiffel Tower in the distance. He could smell the air, influenced by the smell of food being enjoyed by Parisians sitting outside a restaurant. He looked to his left to see a young couple laughing. This is the way life should be, he said to himself. Approaching Agent 13 in the distance were two young men. Before Peter could see them fully, Agent 13 had already run their information and placed a green box around them, indicating they were low to no threat. Show me the information on those two again, said Peter. They are low threat, said the agent. Let me see. The two young men were students from Tehran who had been attending university for the past few years in Paris. How's it going? Non-threat appeared again on screen, which Peter assumed was an Agent 13's way of saying, what the hell are you doing? Fine, said the young men, with a look of suspicion as they continued to walk. Agent 13, fully under Peter's control, continued to watch them as they walked away. They are low to no threat, Mr. Casey. Yeah, so you said. Let's follow just in case. The two young men, noticing the stranger following them now, picked up their pace and turned into a nearby cafe. Peter walked by the window and looked in. He spotted the young men, who looked upon Agent 13 with disdain. Peter released control and 13 continued en route to the Eiffel Tower. En route, I apologize. As they approached the park area, Peter stared at the large edifice. He was a few years younger at the top, looking at Michelle as she looked for someone to take their picture. Come on, Shell, I'll hold the camera. It won't be the same, Pete. Those selfies always look weird. The stranger Michelle found spoke no English, but the context made it clear that Michelle wanted what Michelle wanted. The stranger took the picture that now sat by Peter's bedside table. This was his first time seeing the tower up close at night since that photo was taken. Peter spent the rest of the evening eyeing strangers in both Paris and Dublin. The alarm went off at 8 a.m. Peter was working the later shift but was trying to get on somewhat consistent body clock schedule. He put the kettle on and poured himself a bowl of Rice Krispies. He looked out the window and, seeing the partly sunny sky, decided to take his bike down to Sandymount Strand. While locking his bike at the gate at Star of the Sea School, he looked in through the window and noticed an old man teaching the young kids. That fucker must be 100 by now, he said to himself, referring to the same teacher he had when he was sitting in that same room over 45 years ago. He remembered the teacher when he was a younger man. He was a student teacher at the time when he first joined their class, and the boys smelling his freshness to the classroom made his life miserable. Clearly the old man had learned how to turn the tables, as the children seemed to be listening intently. Fucking incinerator, he said out loud as he looked at the giant steel box. He wondered if his ancestors said the same thing about his beloved smokestacks as they towered over the Strand like two oversized barbershop poles, beacons to tell Dubliners they were nearing home. Perhaps his own descendants would look fondly on the new incinerator. Fucking doubt it, he said. It was his morning off, so he would use the time to walk and catch up on news. Since Michelle had gone, he found it hard to sit alone and watch the nightly news on prime time without her being there. We should probably read more, Peter, she'd often say after they'd turned the television off at night. Good morning, came the voice of Audrey Carville. She has a lovely voice, by the way, Audrey Carville. Good morning, said the voice louder. Another act of terrorism has shaken France, this time happening just outside Charles de Gaulle Airport. A man pulled up outside the departure gate this morning and detonated a large explosive device. Currently the death toll is 8, with many injuries. Fucking bastard, Peter said out loud. And now let me guess, the suspect's name was Anto Murphy. How about Jean-Luc Dubois? And Peter in a fit of rage. The newscaster continued. Witnesses said the suspect appeared to be of Middle Eastern origin. Well, said Peter, what a fucking shock. As Peter was speaking, an older gentleman who had been walking near him suddenly turned and went in a different direction. Thompson better get moving on making more agents, said Peter to himself. Peter checked in with Agent 13, surprised he had not thought of doing that earlier. Go to the airport, Peter commanded him. He was aware that lightning would not strike at the same location again, but he was more curious than anything else. Police have barricaded off the area, sir, and there is another agent assigned to that region. Let's go anyway. As Peter walked the Strand, he was also monitoring Agent 13's view of the trip to De Gaulle Airport. Estimated travel time is 1 hour and 30 minutes, showed the banner on the top right hand side of the screen. Another screen showed road closures surrounding the airport. Fuck, just go back to the city and drive around a bit. Peter shut off signal to 13 and continued to walk around the Strand. He felt responsible somehow. He texted Jackie. You heard about De Gaulle? A few minutes later, a response came in. Yeah, horrible. How many agents did Thompson say were in Paris? I think 2. Where the fuck were they all? They patrolled different areas. I'm guessing that one was patrolling the area but didn't catch him in time, said Jackie. Thompson had told you to patrol the inner area of Paris, right? I don't think he did. Francois told me to head that way, but he doesn't mean I have to stay there. If you were patrolling in another agent's area, the system would have told you. This isn't your fault, Dad, even if it happened in your area, which it didn't. Wish I was there to get that bastard and save those people. Dad, you're overstating your role in all of this. It's on the agent to gather the threat assessment based on visuals and for you to decide from there. I'll let you go. I know you're working. Love you, Dad. Love you too. That's the end of the chapter. Thank you for listening.